Is in white. She's got that in place. Right, yeah. There's the tap. She doesn't get this. There it is. Blanchfield stays on top. Frantic exchange to start round 5. Blanchfield's corner shoulder. Whenever she hurts Rose, she needs to stay on her. Here. Yep. She's going to get it. Blanchfield as she spills Namajunas for her second takedown of the fight. It's a massive takedown here for Blanchfield in the final round. Fingers extended, yeah, that's a bad one.
Can you see me all right?
Yes, sir. 2 eyes, 1 nose.
Huh?
2 eyes, 1 nose, 1 mouth.
You want to continue?
Yes, please.
Good man.
Styling on him to close the show. You gotta love it, man. Welcome back, the assassin, baby.
Kia ora e te iwi, no mai hara mai ki UFC on Sky, ko Ravinda huni a tōku ingoa. Joining me at the desk today, UFC lightweight Dan Hooker. Kia ora e hoa.
Thank you.
Now, at the weekend, I wanted to get into this first and foremost because there was this card at the weekend. We'll get into that a little bit through the show. But Derrick Lewis, heavyweight Derrick Lewis, was supposed to be on this card and it wasn't to be. And he pulled himself off due to a medical issue that hasn't been revealed as to what that reason was. But his coaches quickly came out and said it was not a weight cutting issue, which made me think about weight cutting. And we've never really had this discussion because
weight cutting's been on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah, this is the opportunity to talk about weight cutting. But, it's such a huge part of being a UFC fighter, making that weight and still being able to be functional during a fight, because some, fighters, as we know, make drastic cuts. And some people are a little bit more comfortable with their processes. So, I just wanted to start off by asking you, when you are leading up to a fight, how do you do it?
How do I do it? The magic, yeah. I'd say this would be like the most commonly asked question from people that are not necessarily involved in the sport, or like watch the sport but don't participate as like a fighter or anything like that, because it's just a necessary evil that we have. I'd say like general rule of thumb that most people, it's about 10% they'll lose on fight week. So we're just like everyone else leading into a fight. So some guys have to diet for a bit longer. Some guys' diet process will last 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. But that is obviously just about maintaining muscle, or if not, I wouldn't say gaining muscle. I would say about maintaining your muscle mass and then just losing fat. So that's like a diet like anyone else's diet. Good healthy food, but you're just slowly just bringing down that fat loss. And it's not till that final week where you'll lose about 10% of your body weight. So mine, which I can get pretty easily about now, is I get to about 77, 78 kilos. Monday a fight week, weigh-ins Friday, and between that period I'll lose 10% of my body weight in sodium, in glycogen stored in your muscles, and then the final little last couple of kilos or kilo, and that is done in the sauna process, because you start that, if you do it all in reverse, you get mucked up. We're at a stage now where there's such great people like the fight dietitian who works with our team, and there's like so much knowledge around weight cutting these days that it even for like lower fighters, amateur fighters, like that information is like readily available. When I started, it was like it was like a bit of a mystery. We'd just read an article, and then somewhere in an interview, GSP would say that he ate this, and then so we'd go away and we'd do this, and we just tried all these. It was like weight cutting was this huge mystery to a lot of foreign fighters who didn't have it as really a part of their base sports. Like a lot of the American guys knew because of they came up wrestling, doing like collegiate wrestling. They knew that kind of the tricks to the weight cutting process, but it's just like a new thing. But weight cutting is so entrenched in a part of combat sport that it's just like a necessary evil, or it's something that's kind of been brushed to the back. Because it is like, if you do think about it, weight cutting is like the dumbest thing. You can, like you're not only playing the most dangerous sport, but like who else in not even dangerous sports does that?
When you're fighting 155?
Yeah,
which is around
70.7 kilos.
And your walk around weight is?
I'm not that heavy. Like there's some big lightweights out there. Probably the biggest that I've come across would be like Drew Dober, and I trained with him in Denver when I was training out there in Colorado, and he's like, man, he can be like 87 kilos.
Wow.
Like he'll get back up to like 83 kilos on like fight night.
Wow.
So he cuts down to 70 kilos, and he's like, when he walks in the cage, he's like 83, 84 kilos.
Yeah.
It's a big cat. Like it's a big lightweight.
For those at home who may not know the processes around weight cutting in the UFC, is there an allowance when you weigh in if you are over, and if you don't make weight, is there a penalty?
So you get, it's 1 pound. You get 1 pound, which is like 400 grams. So I have to be like 100, I have to be 70.4, but I'm allowed to be 70.7.
Right.
So it's not much, but if you fight for a title fight, then you have to be bang on 155. So I'd have to be bang on 70.7, 70.4. Now we got like a 2-hour window. You miss that window, it's 20%. So you lose 20% of your money. And if it's anything like over that, depending on the state, it might get the fight disqualified, or go anything up to like 30% of your purse. Like it is a huge advantage. So it's like 70% of guys, it's high 60s, but almost 70% of guys that miss weight win. So it's like you'll see it in a lot of fighters from like countries that don't like rely so much on their UFC money, because they're getting like a lot of sponsors and stuff behind it. You see a lot of them like continually miss weight, or like do like big misses, because it is such a huge advantage, and they don't actually need that 20% of the money to survive on like a lot of normal fighters do. So that they'll tactically like miss weight just to get the advantage. You could say like, oh, why don't you just fight at your natural weight class? It's like, whoa, fighting a guy who's 10 kilos heavier than me is not like the wisest decision. Like, is weight cutting safe? No. Is getting hit by someone bigger than you safe? That ain't safe either. So it's like, pick your poison at what stage. Like, it's everyone does it.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it's an honor thing. Like you have to, like missing weight is just a non-negotiable.
Like there needs to be that stigma around. Imagine if we lost the stigma from like the fight fans and the coaches, and the UFC didn't penalize it at all. Like imagine that. Then everyone would be stepping on the scale over, and it is like you're cheating. You're cheating. You're like taking performance enhancing drugs. You're tactically missing weight, paying the price. Like that is it's a form.
Have you ever
cheating.
been on the back end of that, of someone else not making weight?
Yeah. Jalen Turner missed. He had like quite a big miss, but at that stage, like I couldn't care less. Like, I'm already eating and drinking. I had a hunch like he's a big cat. Just get like the call from Huge, and he's just like, oh yeah, you're gonna steal us. Don't even insult me with this question.
You know what's happening.
you know what I'm gonna say.
You've fought at 145, 155, obviously moving between featherweight and lightweight. Have you ever thought of moving to welter? Has it ever been a
I'm too
consideration
bloody
for you?
skinny, bro. I don't
There's no more mass here.
yeah. Okay, stand me next to Kevin Jusay and then ask me that question again, bro. That's a big Frenchman, man. We all fought at our natural weight class. Yeah, well then I'd be a welterweight. But it's like, you can say that we'll just like, you can be like one fighting championship, which they just shifted everyone up a weight class. But they're having more trouble than ever. You know, they're supposed to have hydration testing. Everyone's got shifted up a weight class to fight at their natural weight class. And they have more weight misses and more hydration test failures. Right. It's like all their force, and I know a lot of guys that compete in one championship, so I hear like stuff behind the scenes where they do like three weight checks like throughout the week, and then let people have at it. And you have to pass like each weight check and each hydration test. But all that's happened is they've got guys doing 3 weight cuts throughout the week. so you can like, or we can do it same day weigh-in. You're like, that'll fix it. Guys will still cut weight same day, and they're turning an already dangerous process into an extremely dangerous process.
Because even sitting here in this seat, you know, most of the time when we speak to fighters, it's on fight week. So there's a lot of times where I could meet fighters and, you know, have good conversations with them, but I talk to them on fight week, they don't want a bar of it. They're grumpy, very short, very just get me out of this interview.
Yeah.
You've never been one of them, but that's been an experience too.
I don't really eat that much. But no, like, so you're generally what, media days like Wednesday, Thursday, wake up process starts. So you're doing the opposite on fight week, which is like overloading yourself with water. It not only like keeps you full, but like also kind of helps like flush your system out. So you're drinking about like 7-8 liters of water Monday, Tuesday, and like limiting your food. So you're not eating much and you're drinking about 7-8 liters Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you're catching everyone on like their last full day of water, or when they cut it to the next day, which you have about 1-2 liters in the morning, and then you drink nothing.
Right.
So and then you're catching them absolutely on empty. So lucky you.
It all makes sense. Yeah. That's why it's always, and feel free, Sky Sport, to send us to more UFC cards, but it's always better to be there on the ground, you know, talking to them, because when you're on the phone and you're already feeling the way you are, you can just imagine just not in the mood.
I've done I've done a few hang-ups. I've done a few hang-ups in my time.
Or not waiting around or anything like that. But
I got a general hang-up on the Russian media. When they go, hey, how you going? And, hello? I'm like, nah. And decline.
They'll still post that.
And we're moving on there.
And then it's a headline.
So what you said about Islam, I'm like, I'm going no. I'm going no. Americans are a bit funny about a Kiwi accent. But I just got to a point where I'm like, nah, if they can't hear me, they can't hear me.
Yeah. They'll work it out. They'll work it out after.
They'll figure it out. What happens is they give me subtitles.
What?
I've been subtitled a few times.
I think
Kev's heavy on the subtitle.
We've subtitled Kevin. Bless you, Kevin. We've had to subtitle Kevin. But anyway, thank you for that chat on cutting weight, and good to know. Just looking back at the flyweights, who I know you are all about watching the flyweights, Dan Hooker. But interestingly enough,
big boy.
the big fast boys. Erin Blanchfield did well to get that win over Rose Namajunas, which kind of leaves things up in the air in the women's flyweight division. Brandon Moreno getting the win over Amir Albazi, and in spectacular fashion too, just absolutely schooled him during the week. But after the fact talks about, we've been talking about this flyweight math and the road to the title and what happens after the Pantoja Kai Asakura fight. Brandon Moreno came out and said, I do not want a title fight next.
I don't know, man. I mean, hopefully, I want to be honest with myself. I think maybe I have to fight one more time before the title. But I don't know. I don't know what is the UFC thinking right now. Maybe they get so impressed with the performance tonight and say, like, hey, maybe he can get the title next. But I mean, I know Roybal is there, Kai Kara-France is there trying to get their opportunity for the title next. So I don't know. I'll be ready for whatever. I'll be ready for whatever. I can get some rematches with Royval. I don't want to fight with Kai again because I fought against him twice and I beat him. But if I have to do that, but I mean, Tatsuo Taira is there. Kaya Sakura, let's see what happened in the fight against Pantoja. But if he loses, he can be the next one. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
So that kind of opens things up. I thought, well, this is even better for Kai.
Well, we kind of said that. We kind of said that leading into it. We were like, for Albazi, this is his chance to kind of cut the line and jump in. But we were like, for Moreno, he'd still need one more. So it's good to hear him come out and kind of acknowledge that same thing and say that he needs like a little bit more momentum, which he steps up. But yeah, with the result in the weekend, Moreno handily outclassing Albazi. Yeah, Kai Kara France is next. As good as MMA math can be. You know what I mean?
Like we have the police corkboard with all the strings.
Yeah, because we still have like the title fights that Kaya Sakura versus Pantoja. Mm-hmm. We have to see how that fight plays out, and because there's like two things. Like Pantoja could punch him in the forehead, knock him out first punch, break his hand, and now we're left Kai Kara France waiting around for a title shot and maybe having to fight Moreno again, or it's the best fight we've ever seen in our lives, and then everyone's screaming out for an immediate rematch of that amazing title fight we just saw. Barring those two things on our chalkboard, barring those two things, Kai Kara France next in line 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think it matters who wins between Pantoja and Kai Asakura? I only say that because of Brandon Royval waiting in the wings at number 1, who hasn't fought Kai Asakura but has lost to Pantoja twice. Could that be a roadblock for Kai Kara France?
I guess that's what the UFC is doing with Kai Asakura, coming in from Ryzen and fresh blood. No one's like, because a lot of the flyweight top, we've seen Pantoja and Moreno fight more times than I care to remember. Yeah. Where
that's what this is great for.
It's been like a constant cycle so to get like at the top echelon a new injection. Like regardless if Kai Asakura loses, then there's still a lot of interesting fights that I'd like to see him against. I'd like to see him against Royval. Like if we don't see it, I'd like to see him against Moreno, even if he loses. Yeah. So it's just at the top of the division, just getting a huge injection of new energy.
Okay, so now we're going to be turning our attention to UFC 309, which goes down next weekend at Madison Square Garden in New York, which features, finally, hopefully, Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight title bout. And look, here we go.
Ooh, I feel like it hasn't been talked about because we don't want to jinx it.
That's right. What do we want to see? But a fight that stands out for me, obviously because you're sitting here, co-main event, 5-rounder, Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler. We have seen them fight before where Oliveira was successful in that match, but how do you like that for a co-main event?
Yeah, fireworks, like both incredibly fast starters, both kind of lose their range pretty soon and they're happy to do so. And yeah, it's not like just because of the result of the first fight, which Oliveira was able to finish Chandler, it's not like it was a cakewalk. Oliveira got his bell rung more than a few times in that fight, which he tends to do, and which Chandler tends to ring bells quite early. We got us at a 5-rounder there. I don't know why that's not going 5 rounds.
Yeah, I was just saying to you, Rose Namajunas, Erin Blanchfield in the weekend just gone was also a 5-round. They've been trying to do it a bit. They're trying to make me and
Bobby Green a 5-round. I was going, no. you want extra time on the clock, mate. You got to put a bit of extra in my pay packet. But no, I don't think that fight, Oliveira and Chandler, is going to go 5 rounds for sure. It's going to be a fast start. And flip of the coin, really, I'd say he survives it. Oliveira survives that early onslaught. You know, I feel like we're going to see the same result, but it's like whether or not he can. Like I've seen Chandler this week, and he's looking in phenomenal shape. And from what I understand about this fight is that, winner of this is after the Arman Sarukian Islam Makhachev fight. the winner of this fight is next in line for the title.
At the top of this ticket, Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. And I was actually, I wasn't, when I had a look, I didn't realise Stipe Miocic had gone down to 8th in the rankings, but he hasn't fought since 2021, so it kind of makes sense.
We can see why this fight is kind of so anticipated. Stipe is billed as the greatest heavyweight of all time. Jon Jones, pound for pound, greatest fighter of all time. So this is a legacy fight, and they've obviously behind closed doors both kind of said that we only want to fight this other guy. That's why we've had Tom Aspinall kind of waiting in the wings and defending his interim title along the way. But yeah, from what I understand, this is going to be a double retirement fight, regardless of kind of who wins this fight, and so it should be. Like, what has either of these men, what does either of these men have left to prove? Jon Jones with a victory will cement his name as the greatest fighter that ever walked the face of the planet, with being the light heavyweight champion and technically undefeated. Yeah. His entire UFC career was his entire career, and then coming up to heavyweight, snatching the belt, and then beating the greatest heavyweight of all time. It doesn't, on paper, get any better than that. Yeah. And for Stipe Miocic, one last ride, the working man's hero, to come out and to stop Jon Jones' reign. What an incredible way to end his career. But yeah, I feel like they both shake their hand at the end of this fight, and I see them both laying their gloves down. And Tom Aspinall, what happens when a champion retires is the interim champion gets promoted to the title.
Absolutely, yeah, and would become the heavyweight champion. Now, when we talk about these two and the legacy that they have, paved for themselves, Stipe Miocic made his debut in 2011. I mean, we talk about you being in there for 10 years and how long it's been, for you. He's been in since 2011. This guy, 2008, made his debut. That's an absolute, like, when you think about the demand of the sport, and then to say, Jon Jones technically hasn't had a loss in all those years. When you talk about legacy, this is definitely the epitome. You can
see why they've kind of handpicked this fight, or waited around for this fight. With the Jon Jones injury, Stipe opted to wait around for this fight, is because no one else can cement that legacy or have that opportunity on paper. And to beating Tom Aspinall, it's like the new kid on the block. It's like, it doesn't, at the time, like UFC fans right now, it'll be the biggest fight of all time, whether Tom Aspinall fought either of these guys. But these guys are thinking bigger than the right now. They're thinking when the writing's on the wall in 10 years, when they're both in the Hall of Fame, and all their accomplishments start getting read out on paper. This moment right here will be kind of the crowning jewel in both of their careers.
Yeah. How do you see this fight going? Stipe Miocic been out for 3 years. I mean, Jon Jones came back and beat Cyril Gane, but he had been previously out for 3 years, and we barely saw what he has to offer, in its entirety in that fight against Cyril Gane. So how do you see this going down? Yeah,
obviously Stipe Miocic, from what he is, from what we've seen in his career, is a boxer, defensive wrestler. He uses his wrestling defensively, can use it offensively, but I don't see him kind of using it offensively against Jon Jones. I feel like that'll be a bit tiring. So I'd expect Stipe Miocic to be a defensive wrestler and to use his boxing. And from what we've seen in Jon Jones, bringing over Joseph Parker, New Zealand, New Zealand's own heavyweight boxing world champion, to get that kind of natural kind of boxing look into his career. But what I see from Jon Jones is the most complete fighter we've ever seen. Fight from both stances. Can kick, can box, can throw elbows, knees, can wrestle. He's the most complete fighter that we've ever had in the sport. So to think about what he's going to bring to the table is absolutely everything.
Yeah. I kind of hope that it goes on for a little bit. Like, I know when Jon Jones came back and, the fight didn't last for very long, and you're like, wow, Jon Jones gets the win. And I'm just like, oh, you didn't see anything. I mean, you saw enough, but I kind of hope that they, thing it out for a bit, make a little bit of a spectacle, especially if this is their last a fight.
You mean we're paying money for an actual fight? Would love to.
But yeah, you just hope that you see, a bit more action. If this is their last fight, like, this is going to go down in UFC history.
Yeah. That's what this was all about. This pay-per-view, this fight. This is about legacy. This fight.
Well, and hopefully next week we'll be talking to one or both of these gentlemen. So hopefully, if we can get them,
Would love
to come on the show and have a kōrero with us before they go. And I'd love to have a good talk with Jon Jones about Joseph Parker too and see what he thought. Outstanding. Our New Zealanders on the... We'll always plug in our New Zealand fighters in any fight that we can. But Dan Hooker, thank you so much for joining me, as always.
No trouble.
And whānau, you can book UFC 309 now. Head over to Sky Arena or Sky Sport now. The prelims will be free and live on Sky Open. This pay-per-view next Sunday. Do not miss it, live from Madison Square Garden. Hei konama.